Hi everyone. We're going to continue on our series of finger picking. I'm going to call this part one. The first one that we did was an introduction, and that was for people that had never finger picked before, wanted to finger pick, and we're just kind of getting into it. So we did a short introduction to get them started. So we're going to start off today. You're going to have three patterns. We're going to go back to that introduction pattern, the pattern that we first had. We'll call it sample A. Then we're going to throw two more patterns. So let's do a quick review. First thing we want to talk about is that remember we assigned our fingers to certain strings and they didn't change. So we're still going to do that on all of the patterns we're playing today. Thumb is still going to play on the third string or the G. The index finger is still going to play on your second string or the B, and your middle finger is going to play on the first string or the E, and they will stay there. They never move around from those positions. You want to stay, okay? Now, also we talked about picking. I'm going to be playing back here because my Lanikai that I'm using, if I play up here, I get over the sound hole. I'm using some Aquila Reds, and I don't think you can see the strings that well, so I'm going to pick back here. But again, you can pick anywhere that you want. Sound changes. Sometimes you might want a bright sound. Maybe you want a mellower sound. So you can change where you pick. And most baritone players use a strap, so that takes the issue of holding the ukulele out of the picture. So you can pretty much play wherever you want. But I'm going to play back here, very close to the bridge and the saddle today, basically as a visual, just so you can see. So let's get started. We're going to take a look at the intro just to warm up a little bit. Now you remember that was just the thumb, the index, middle, and back to the index, okay? Now you might want to review that before you start, or just kind of warm up on that. Take in a metronome if you want, or just kind of get used to that, okay? So let's try doing that. We're going to start at 60. Again, I got my metronome beating the eighth note, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and here we go. This is that intro pattern. So it's just your fingers cascading, thumb, index, middle, index, thumb, index, middle, index. So you want to be pretty comfortable with that before you move on. So let's take a look now at sample B. Sample B is starting to use something where instead of our fingers going in order, they're going to kind of place out of order. The thumb, you'll notice, is going to be playing the downbeats. The thumb is playing on the 1, 2, 3, and 4. So your index and your middle finger are going to be playing on the off beats or the and. So you have the 1 and 2 and 3 and. They're going to be covering those off beats. So the first pattern is thumb, index, back to thumb, then to middle. Now, since all these patterns really only take 2 beats to complete, you'll notice that we basically repeat it. Thumb, index, thumb, middle, and that gets us a full measure. So again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, middle. Okay, now the 3 metronome settings we're going to use today, we're going to use 60 and 72 to warm up a bit. Then we're going to jump to 116, take a little bit of a jump, but we'll use 3 settings. So let's start off on our 60. Now this is beating out the 8th note, so this is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, you go. Good, okay? So now we're going to jump up. Let's take that same pattern. We're going to move up to 72 and play that again. Just a little bit faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and thumb, index, thumb, middle, thumb, index, thumb, middle, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, and we'll stop right there. Okay, good. Now we're going to make a little bit of a jump here. We're going to take this all the way up to 116. Here we are at 116. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Thumb, index, thumb, middle. Thumb, index, thumb, middle. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, and we'll stop right here. Good, okay? So those are your beats are 60, 72, and 116. If you have a metronome, if the jump is too quick for you, jump it up a little slower. You can always go from 72 up to 84. You can work your way up to 96, and then probably be able to make, once you're at 96 or 108, any of those, you'll be able to make the jump to 116. And again, take your time. It takes some time to learn how to do this if you've never done it. Again, I'm playing back here just because of the visual and stuff. If I was holding my uke, I'd probably be playing a little more over the sound hole, but for today I'm doing it here so you can see. Now let's take a look at sample C. This one's a little bit different. We still have our fingers assigned. We still have the thumb is assigned to the third string on the G. We still have index assigned to the second or the B string, and our middle is still assigned to the first string or the E. But you'll notice on that very first beat that the thumb and the middle are playing together. They're going to be plucking. So we're plucking two strings at the same time. Now that's something in and of itself that you might want to take some time to sit down and just kind of see what that feels like, to play two strings at the same time, using your thumb on the third string, your middle finger on the first. Now the similarity to the second pattern, or pattern B, is that you'll notice the thumb is still playing on the downbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this time the index is covering all of the ands. If you take your middle finger out, your thumb and index are going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And that's a good place to start. You can always start by just doing that, rocking back and forth between your thumb and index. Now the middle finger is plucking on 1 and 3. So it sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We pluck and 2 and pluck and 4 and 1, just like that, okay? So let's take our metronome. We're going to get it back down here to 60. We're going to start off slow, and here we go. Now this again is the eighths. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and here we go. We pluck and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and pluck and 4 and pluck and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, and we'll stop right there. Okay, so that was at 60. We're going to make the jump up to 72. So here we are at 72. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 stop right there. So now let's go on and make the jump and see how we do all the way up to 116. Here we are at 116. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and so we're pluck and 2 and pluck and 4 and pluck and 2 pluck and 4 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we'll stop right there. Okay, good. So let's do a little bit of review. Again, I would start off with this. You're going to have all three of the finger picking patterns on one page that I'm going to send out to you. And I would just remind yourself that number one, that your fingers are assigned to a string, so they do not move around. All this playing is done with them assigned. Thumb is on third string, which is the G. Index is assigned to the second string, the B. And your middle finger is assigned to the first string, which is the E, and they don't change. So now some of the similarities were always, you'll notice on all the patterns, once you play the thumb, the index is always the next. Then you usually go to the middle on the sample. On sample B, the intro sample, on sample B, it comes back. So you get your thumb, index, thumb to middle. That's the change in that pattern. Then for sample C, the difference is the thumb goes from here, you go to the index, back to the thumb and the index. So you might want to start on sample C, just running your thumb and index back and forth. The difference there is that on 1 and 3, the middle finger comes into play and it plucks, and 4 and 1 and 2. So the thumb and middle are playing together. And again, you want to stop, just kind of get used to what that feels like. Even though I'm back here also today, I still have my pinky. So if you want to anchor, I always have something that's holding my hand kind of in place so that when I'm putting pressure to play the notes, my hand's not floating around here. I'm anchored down. I happen to be playing also back this far today, basically just for the video. I would probably more than likely play over the sound hole if I was playing these patterns. And again, there's not a lot of force to use in them, so you don't have to play very hard. You want a very even sound between the strings when you pluck. The same thing, you want both strings sound out fairly evenly. Now you will get a little bit of a drive on those, the 1 and the 3, because you're playing 2 notes instead of 1. So there's a little bit of a pulse in that sample C. So quick review, you have the introduction, the intro pattern, sample A. You have sample B, which goes back, the thumb starts playing on all the down beats. The thumb's on 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And then we have sample C, where the thumb and index are constantly playing. The thumb is on the downbeat, the index is always on the offbeat or the and, 1 and 2 and 3, and it's the middle finger that plucks on 1 and 3, so you get 1 and 2 with the thumb, and 4 and pluck, and 2 and 3 and 4, and there you go. So remember, start slow, take it at your own speed. Once you learn these and they become familiar, it's like anything else in the ukulele we've been learning. You don't forget it and it comes along. So even though it might be a struggle at first, just hang in there, because once you get it, we'll start playing some songs. We have one more section to this we're going to do, and I'll probably do that next week. So hope you enjoy this. Take your time. Have fun.